Who's up first? Kunvay. Kunvay is up first. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you're up to?
My name is Reggie Solomon. I'm with Kunvay. And pretty much, we are trying to help creatives, freelancers, and their clients manage copyright transfers online. We want to be the place that people come to on the web for creativity to change hands. So the sale of knowledge work is pretty difficult to do and transact. You get your buddy down the street to design the logo for your new startup. You pay him $200, he emails you the logo, says it's yours, glad you're happy with it. The ownership issues don't necessarily convert over to the buyer of the work. And so these legal complexities with regards to intellectual property are something we're trying to clear up. I had this problem myself when I was working on my first book. I garden urban style. And basically, there are a lot of intellectual property issues to deal with when dealing with images and any kind of, anything that you acquire from someone else, like copy. I also run a couple of weblogs, and I acquire content from folks. And I wanted to be sure I actually own what I bought, or what I think I bought. And so these issues are really issues that a lot of people deal with every day. I put up the Social Network picture there because one of the biggest movies of 2010 was basically a movie about an intellectual property dispute. And so these issues are quite relevant in everyday life. So right now, too many buyers acquire work from others without actually acquiring ownership, and they unknowingly expose themselves to legal and financial risk. On the flip side, contracting to provide this service for your friend down the street who's designing your $200 logo, he's not actually worried so much about the intellectual property transfer piece, and in fact, it's not something that's at the top of his mind. Creators want to create, they don't want to contract. So Kunvay basically provides a simple and affordable way for intellectual property ownership and copyright to change hands. And we focus on 3 categories of intellectual property: design work, photos, and written content. Those are the only 3 categories we're focusing on right now, but we might focus on some others later. So we basically do this through a simple 3-step process where creatives upload their work to our site, buyers review the work, approve it, and then we execute an escrow agreement between the 2 parties and escrow the IP from one party to another, so basically an intellectual property assignment. So this is done in an upload, approve, transfer process, and we're on a mission pretty much to make the world a safer place for creativity. And so I thought I'd just demonstrate just really quickly how it works. So basically you go to our site and you just want to start a transfer. And so it gives you an opportunity to decide, what it is you want to transfer. Do you want to transfer design, photos, web content? So right here I'll choose written content. I'm a creative, so I want to give this to my client, and I'll call this Demo Night. So basically what happens is you fill out the buyer's name, their email address, and sort of briefly describe what it is that you're transferring. So I might say, logo for startup. And then you pretty much just load your files up. The buyer receives an email, and there's a process where they review it and approve everything. But I thought I'd just go down to the bottom and show you what the final product looks like. And I actually used this myself to receive blog posts from some of our writers. You basically get a fully executed transfer agreement along with a copy of the file or the thing that was transferred, and you can review the agreement, you can download a PDF of the agreement. It basically provides evidence of a transfer of intellectual property between the 2 parties. So basically our solution helps people actually own what it is they think they bought from others. We provide really easy documentation for people to hold on to, for compliance officers who need to have proof of ownership of certain intellectual property items. And for creatives, we basically provide the benefit that they can provide their clients with IP transfer as an explicit part of the value proposition that they offer the clients who work with them. We also give freelancers a stick, right, to help with payment. If you don't pay, I don't transfer. And so, usually the process ends with payment between people. We found in our research that people handle this currently one of three ways. One, with a contract where the client receives intellectual property upon payment. Two, with a contract where the creative retains rights to the intellectual property and licenses it to the client. And three, they don't address the issue. And sometimes this is even if they have a contract. Most of the time, contracts, people are worried about when am I going to receive it, how much is it going to cost? Or for creatives, they're worried about when's the deadline and how much you're going to give me when I finish it. So sometimes, even with contracts, intellectual property issues are ignored. So the market, I won't spend too much on this. You guys probably know about the legal market. The two biggest players in this market are only scratching the surface for online legal services. There's a whole growing demand for unbundled legal services. Our revenue model is pretty simple. People pay to upload a certain number of files, and then we charge a transfer fee that's commensurate with the number of items that they're transferring. So it's completely free for creatives, and we're working right now with a lot of creatives to teach them how to use the product and how to explain it to their clients. And buyers pay the service fee. So this is a completely free tool for creatives. And we see sort of as our competitors, you can get this done online right now. You can get this done today through other people like LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer. These sites, of course, provide sort of the superstore of all your legal needs that you can access. And we think that there is value around providing one service. When you think of LegalZoom, you probably think of a variety of different legal applications that they can provide. When people think Kunvay, we want them to think yours to mine in under 60 seconds, potentially, if they're ready to move that fast with a copyright and IP transfer. So that's what we're doing. And we think that there are opportunities around segmenting the online legal services market around filling specific consumer needs. So that's it.
Thanks, Reggie. Is it a Q&A now? So I'll start while you folks formulate your questions. Raise your hand if you have questions, actually. Good. My first question, maybe it's Veronica's question too. I'm guessing. How mutable is the document that you send to Kunvay to transfer the IP? It seems like, to the extent most of us are IP-connected lawyers in this room, we know that an IP transfer agreement is more sophisticated and has many nuances than could be conveyed in a static document.
So the document that we basically use for our agreement, and you're welcome to review it. You just have to go to our FAQ. You can actually review it yourselves in detail. It basically, we only handle intellectual property transfers valued at $10,000 and under. So we're really looking for a very specific market, and we've set up our agreement to handle most of the needs that would be addressed by people looking to transfer IP at a certain value. So if you're transferring your $25,000, movie poster, you can't use us because we actually have you have to put in the estimated value of the work to be transferred, and we only handle agreements of a certain type. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, yeah, so you can't, so someone couldn't do this and mutate the document. If it had more nuanced copyright issues, they wanted to retain some rights, some things open source. Correct.
This is not a degree of ownership. This is not, we license. This is simply 0-1. I own it, you own it. We don't we're black and white, no gray.
That was not my question.
Okay.
My question is about the escrow, which I think is a really smart idea. How do you technically do it?
So basically, we basically modeled our agreements around something that happens really right now at a mega level. If you think about IP escrow companies, so for example, a lot of companies will contract with certain software providers. And they usually, if they're going to enter a long-term relationship, they want to know that they can access certain things, like APIs, in the event that the provider goes out of business. And so they've created a tool, an IP escrow tool, that's basically used at a really sort of corporate level for big-time software transfers and access that we basically just converted and used for a very smaller market. So same application of existing technology toward a new field.
Reggie, you have a law degree?
No, I don't. we have lawyers who develop all our agreements.
Hi, just to follow on to the last two, because I was basically thinking the same thing. If you could just maybe be more specific, because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
You said the agreement. Is there only one form of agreement for everything on the site? There's no modification?
Correct. There's only one agreement.
And how does the escrow process actually work? I mean, if you're able to see what the content is,
Right.
you can't download it, it's frozen somehow, you're able to see that it exists, but not take possession of it, or is it,
So-
how does it actually work?
So the creative signs on and uploads their work, and they release the intellectual property into escrow. So they release their right to it. The buyers go online and they agree. There's a creatives agreement, there's a buyer's agreement, separate, and then we execute agreement between them both. And so basically, the buyer will be able to they can access intellectual property, but they don't receive ownership until payment. And so we execute the actual agreement and make it legal.
So, but it's a legal distinction that they don't have ownership. They could, if they wanted to violate it, they could actually take it down. It's not like it's locked. That's what I'm getting.
Correct. And basically, the way we imagine this happening is if you're a client and you're creative, you're probably working together and sending stuff back and forth via files until something gets finalized. We just want to be the final step where it actually has the legal force. This is not, you can't access. This is a convenient mechanism at the end. So we basically, it's not yours until you convey. That's what we're trying to get to.
And Phil, will folks have time to mingle after the event?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So one more question, Phil, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, one more.
Hi. So I'm still a little curious about the need for the escrow and the purpose behind it. If it is, like you say, a binary thing, that you're not dealing with licenses, that
Correct.
you are just saying, here's a full and complete transfer of ownership that, hey, maybe you can revoke 35 years down the road, but for now, this is for real. You're getting the whole thing. What strikes me, when you make the analogy to larger scale code escrows, that's really about having a limited license, and then if there should be some event of default and the company goes out of business, then you get more than you used to have. You get access to the source code because now you need it to do what you previously were doing under a license on the theory that, okay, I don't have the source code, but the company's maintaining the software. It's going to be okay, I can still use it. Here, where you're talking about creative work that you're, again, transferring full ownership to, I guess I wonder if you could talk a little more about the value of the escrow as opposed to just a really good form that properly transfers ownership upon the sort of triggers that you want in that process.
Sure. So we chose the escrow means, and of course, there are a lot of different technology transfer and escrow type agreements, and you've probably reviewed a lot of them. And different ones provide for different levels of access to source codes and other things like that. We chose, there are many mechanisms that you can do to actually accomplish this. One of our competitors in this exact space, direct competitors who launched a month after we did, is based out of the UK. They're called Own My IP. And they use a totally different way of executing the agreement than we do. So we chose an escrow because we thought it was familiar and it was something that had already been demonstrated in the marketplace. We felt that as a company, it would be easy for us to explain to customers how it works if we use terms like escrow, because people understand that when people go through home ownership, transfers of sale of home ownership. So we thought the mechanism would be easy for people to understand and trust in. So yeah, we could have used another mechanism. It's just the one we chose.
Great, thanks, Reggie.
Yeah.